Hi everyone, it's Emily. Today's lesson is 11.6, 3D shapes. So, we know that solid geometry is the geometry of three-dimensional space, the kind of space we live in. It is called three-dimensional or 3D because there are three dimensions: width, depth, and height. So width, depth, and height. There are two main types of solids: polyhedra, which has flat faces, and non-polyhedra, if any surface is not flat. For example, this is a polyhedra because this surface is flat. It's a flat rectangle. This is a non-polyhedra because the surface is rounded. So if we put this side on a table, it would roll off. So a polyhedra, a polyhedron, is a solid with flat faces. Each face is a polygon. The edges of the polyhedron are the sides of its faces. The vertices of the polyhedron are the vertices of its faces. So each face is a polygon. Remember what a polygon is. It's a shape like a rectangle or a square or a triangle. It's a flat shape. The common polyhedral are the prisms, the pyramids, and the regular polyhedra. Prisms. A prism is a polyhedron consisting of two parallel, congruent, or equal faces called bases, and several parallelograms called lateral faces. So we have one base here, two bases here, and these two bases are the exact same size and shape. And to connect those two bases are the lateral faces. These rectangles going all around the prism. Now, if the bases are regular polygons, then the prism is called regular prism. A prism is named by the shape of its base. For example, if the base is a pentagon, the prism is called pentagonal prism. So this base of the prism is a pentagon, which we know has 5 sides. So the base is a pentagon here and here, connected by all of these rectangles. So because the base is a pentagon, we call it a pentagonal prism. Now, pyramids. A pyramid is a polyhedron where the base is a polygon and the lateral faces are triangles, which meet at the top, or the apex. So remember, a prism had two bases, one base on the top and one base on the bottom. But a pyramid has one base on the bottom. And to make the apex, or the point at the top, we use triangles as the lateral faces, not rectangles. So they meet at this point, the apex. Now, if the base is a regular polygon and the apex is on the perpendicular to the base through its center, then the pyramid is called a regular pyramid. So this means that from the apex here, if we could draw a line from the apex to the center, and this line is perpendicular to the base, which we know is 90 degrees, it's a regular pyramid. A pyramid is named for the shape of its base, just like the prism. For example, if the base is a square, the pyramid is called a square pyramid. Makes sense. Now, regular polyhedra. A regular polyhedron is a polyhedron where each face is the same regular polygon. So every face is the same shape. It's all triangles or squares, all the same. The same number of polygons meet at each vertex or the corner. Remember these corners. Regular polyhedral are also called platonic solids, and there are only 5, which may look a little bit familiar. The tetrahedron, which has triangles, cube, which has squares, octahedron, which has triangles, dodecahedron, which has pentagons, and icosahedron, which has triangles. So I'm going to repeat these names for you because they're a little bit difficult, but I want you to practice. The tetrahedron, cube, octahedron, dodecahedron, icosahedron. Very difficult names, but it's one shape, and the size and name depends on how many of the single polygon meet at each corner, at each vertex. Okay? So I want you to practice saying all of these names. There's a lot of difficult names. So go back and listen to how I pronounce and pronounce them after me. Now, moving on to the non-polyhedra. A non-polyhedron is a solid where any surface is not flat. For example, look at all of these shapes, and you can see that some of the surfaces are rounded, they're not flat. Some of the most important non-polyhedra are the solids of revolution. A solid of revolution is a solid figure obtained when a plane shape rotates around a straight line. This line is called the axis of revolution. So, a shape is a solid of revolution if you can place an axis of revolution down the center or next to it, and that shape can rotate around that axis evenly. Cylinders, cones, and spheres are examples of solids of revolution. Cylinder. A cylinder is the solid of revolution that is generated when a rectangle rotates around one of its sides. So here we have a rectangle, and if it rotates around this side right here, we get this cylinder. And here we have the same rectangle. And if it rotates this side, the shorter side, we get this cylinder. Now, a cone is the solid of revolution that is generated when a right triangle, remember right triangle has a 90-degree angle, rotates around one of its legs. So here we see the right triangle. And now if we rotate it around this leg, we get this cone. And if we rotate it around this leg, we get this cone. A sphere is the solid of revolution that is generated when a circle rotates around one of its diameters. So we know a diameter passes through the center of the circle, and it goes from one side to the other. So a sphere is when this circle rotates around one of these diameters to make a big solid, just like that. All right, so thanks for watching, everyone. I hope this wasn't too confusing. I know the words are really difficult, but I want you to go back and practice the words and the pronunciation. Okay, see you all in the next lesson. Bye.